This is a question from a member in my free group, Relationship of Your Dreams. If you're not in that group yet and you're watching this from outside of this group, get in it. We answer a lot of amazing questions. And the one I'm going to be answering today is, how does the balancing of one's own male or female, inner feminine and masculine, relate to creating polarity in a relationship? So this is one of the biggest misconceptions out there that really leads people astray and causes a lot of wasted time doing this whole balancing act thing. I will never refer to the word balance or balancing when I'm talking about masculine and feminine energies, because what people typically are doing when they are balancing these energies is they are becoming very androgynous. They're not becoming polarized, and that is not going to create a healthy relationship. It's certainly not going to create a dream relationship. What I do is I teach men and women how to integrate their energies, right? Because if you have a man, a masculine man, who has not integrated his feminine energy, he's going to be a sociopath, right? He's going to be a total asshole. And when a man integrates his feminine energy into his masculine, he becomes devotional, right? His umbrella of protection and provision increases to people other than just himself, right? And he becomes more accepting and loving, but he is still operating through his masculine all the time, right? And that's the key. He's operating through his masculine, but through his masculine, he becomes devotional. And something similar happens for a woman, right? So if you have a woman who is very, very feminine, but without integrated masculine energy, she is going to be a chaotic doormat. And that would be the typical thing. So she would have no boundaries for herself, right? So she would get taken advantage of, she would get led along. She would be typically pair up with a very domineering man who would take advantage of her, control her, use her. And she will also have no boundaries for her own emotions. So she will often spill her neediness onto her man. She'll do a lot of blaming, right? She won't be emotionally responsible. And when a woman integrates her masculine energy through her feminine, she's still operating through her feminine all the time, right? It's just that she becomes radiant. She becomes vulnerable. Her self-worth skyrockets. Right? And she just loves herself, and she loves opening herself up to receiving, but she's only going to receive the best, and she is going to flow away from anything that's not the best. She's not going to remain open to abuse. She may express vulnerably how something abusive makes her feel, and if it continues, well, she's not going to stick around because she knows she knows that she deserves better. But she's operating fully through her feminine all the time, right? And so what's really interesting, say in the Radiant Woman Academy, is while we are teaching women how to be more feminine, that requires integrating her masculine energy. We're actually focusing on integrating masculine energy, because to be vulnerable, right, which is all about being emotionally responsible, you have to integrate your masculine energy. Otherwise, your boundaries are going to suck, and they're going to be all over the place, and you're just going to be blaming people or spilling neediness onto people. And it's going to be really, really unhealthy, right? So when we're talking about balancing energies, what people typically do is they're operating through their masculine half the time, they're operating through their feminine half the time. If it's a man, they're kind of watering down their dominance and becoming like really soft and weak. Or if it's a woman, she's actually going to cover up her heart more and become more closed off and independent and assertive. And that's not healthy. we often see that as healthy in our society, our very sick, twisted society that's not a healthy society at all. But so it's really about healthy polarization. And so yes, you are developing your opposite energy, right? So like a man's feminine or a woman's masculine, but it does not feel like that energy because you're operating through the opposite, right? So like a man is becoming more dominant. He's becoming more masculine as he integrates his feminine. It's just that he's becoming more devotional. Right? He's becoming more devotional. And a woman, she's becoming more feminine. She's becoming softer as she integrates her masculine energy. It's just that her self-worth is going up. Right? It's just that she's opening herself up to receiving the best. It's that she's containing her emotions, not in an unhealthy way where it's like she's suppressing it, but in a healthy way where she's not pushing those emotions onto somebody else, right? So she has her own boundaries for them. Emotionally responsible, can you explain what this looks like from your perspective? So if we're talking about a woman being emotionally responsible, it means that she is never blaming, right? There's no energetic blame. You know, we talk a lot about this in the academy. What blame is, how just your words are going to influence like the energetic blame that comes out. And it's the same with neediness, right? Where you're putting, you know, you're putting responsibility for your emotions onto somebody else, right? Like you take care of these emotions, right? You're responsible for them, like putting that on a man as a burden with blame or neediness, when really your emotions are your responsibility as a woman, and a man's behaviors are his responsibility. And this is something that's really difficult for women because they're not taught. They're not taught this. Rarely ever taught by their parents, rarely ever taught in school, rarely ever taught by the men they're with. And unfortunately, it's the women who are not emotionally responsible. They're going to tend to attract men who are not capable of devoting their leadership with their dominance to lead a woman into being emotionally responsible, and then you get into a really tricky situation. So what we teach in our academies, both the Dominant Man and Radiant Woman Academy, is how to integrate energies. We do not balance energies at all. That's not going to give you what you want. It's not going to create the dream relationship. We show women how to be truly vulnerable and open up and be fully 100% emotionally responsible with their beautiful emotions, because that's when a man is truly inspired to devote to her. And we teach men how to be dominant, because if a man's not dominant and he is not calling out disrespect, he's not putting a stop to it, and he doesn't set boundaries, then he's not going to feel devotional, because a man doesn't feel devotional to a woman who is disrespecting him, who is not stepping back so that he can lead, right? And that's what's going to create these problems. And if you want that dream relationship, you want to end these problems, you want to properly integrate your energies, it's a dominant man and a radiant woman, then book a call with me. You got to be really serious about this. This has got to be your biggest problem that you want to solve in your life, that you want to get handled. You got to be willing to be courageous. And if that's you're at that point, then book a call, go to relationshipofyourdreams.com, book a call with me, and we will talk all about your problems, dive really deep into them, and find the right solution for you to create the dream relationship. That's it for this one.